Hi, Spots and Cheap Pops. You're on the air.
I have zero doubt Shane McMahon's coming out.
I would agree with you 100%. And what you laid out is probably the way it should go in terms of, if not even, I mean, I guess would be fantasy booking to a certain extent. And you hope that AEW can pull it off, because we've had these moments where, like, oh, they could do this, and then they do something completely different. I do feel like AEW has been in an upward trajectory from a creative standpoint for a long time, but they need a hot angle. They need an angle to get more people like, oh, what's going on over here? You bring in WWE guys that you already had. And I hate to say, and a lot of times it's not just WWE guys, it's people that were in WWE, but I mean, John Moxley's not a WWE guy. Like,
unless he wants to be. Unless he wants to be.
Well, I don't think it's about that. I think there's a lot of negative publicity that they can start feeding into. If AEW is smart, look, just listen to what the WWE fans that hate AEW, and there's a lot of them, that'll say. And that could be the venom of the Shane McMahon, John Moxley thing. The problem is that I saw, and I'll shout out Randy Moyer from our Facebook group. He had mentioned that he doesn't want it to be all about it being ex-WWE guys, like an invasion angle. Well, you said invasion angle, actually, but he doesn't want it to be like well, actually, he said he doesn't want it to be an NWO thing. And my point was, if it's specifically about WWE guys taking over like the NWO looked like they were initially, then that is a problem. But the big differential here is Nash and Hall were acting as if they were still representing WWE originally. Yeah. Where everybody here knows John Moxley and Shane McMahon have nothing to do with WWE. So I think that's the big distinction. But I think the way you laid it out is perfect. And take it a step further, which you and I both talked about as well, is that John Moxley might be the guy who retires Bryan Danielson. Yeah. But I could see Cesaro, Pac, and even Wheeler Yuta going toward that vein as well. And then maybe you bring in
they're going to need
Miro.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but they're going to need one big AEW name to join them. And this is where he's approaching Darby, which offhand, I don't think Darby's going to take the bait. He'll become like, the first feud trying to fight on behalf of AEW or something is the way I would see it.
Do you think they're going to try to recreate Sting with Darby Allin? Like, you don't know where Darby's going. I hope they don't do that. That would be that would be like the new Star Wars movies, and it would be just like, after you sit there and watch, like, wait a minute, it's the same thing. Repeats.
And Sting just came back, so it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Darby is so much AEW, almost as if Sting was in WCW.
Yes. Yeah,
there's a lot of parallels to this. It's a fascinating possibility what they're doing.
Yeah. So and again, the verdict will be out if they go that route. But then, if it's not Darby changing sides, then who is the AEW person? Is it Omega? Is it? I don't know who's like big enough. Like, it wouldn't be the Young Bucks, honestly.
And who would make sense? I feel like they want this to make sense. Moxley has a pretty good mind for the business when he's thinking of storylines.
Yeah.
Maybe getting an exploding shoe to your face and then being part of the finish later as if you didn't feel shit might not be the best way. But I digress about that.
Yeah. So another interesting aspect of this is, like, you have almost like a three-sided struggle going on within AEW. Here's a critique. I still don't understand exactly what's going on between Tony Khan's side and the Elite side, right? There's certain times where the Elite wants to do something, Tony Khan's like, nah, I'm going to swat that down, send Christopher Daniels.
Storyline's been a wet fart.
Oh, yeah. And I'm not going to go pick the carcass, but it hasn't been done well, like, honestly. And all that's been accomplished is that the Elites gathered all the gold, and it's a comedy show. And
it's a bad one too.
Yeah.
Oh, the Young Bucks suck. I've changed. They suck. I'm over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The tag match was not that great. That was one of the weaker matches actually at All In, which is crazy to say.
So yeah, man, and So they've sort of sputtered with this. Tony Khan's neck got broken. We haven't seen him again. Like, but yet he's in the building. He doesn't have a comment to make. Like, they have not really handled that aspect of it correctly. Maybe the only thing that saves it is an imposing Shane McMahon walking in there with Warner Brothers clout and him trying to take over what Tony Khan, the Young Bucks, Omega, and company started.
I just figured out your baby face is turning.
Okay.
Baby face is FT.
That would be great.
They're getting stale. I was just talking to some friends over the weekend. They're getting stale. It would be perfect. Yeah. And then the Bucks could be the baby faces who have to sign up with Tony being like, whoa, this guy's coming in here. We got to figure it out.
Yeah.
We just fantasy booked the shit out of this, by the way. If you're listening right now, if Tony Khan doesn't do what we just said, he's a moron. Holy shit, we're brilliant.
I'm telling you, man, this is the way to do it. And and to me, just the way Moxley said this, the impending looming situation where they haven't announced anything about the TV contract just yet. And even just describing it to you in regards to Shane's role sort of reminded about Don Callis's role with TNN when he was working at ECW. Yeah. Remember that he had some authority, but I'm saying way more. He's more than a talking piece. He's got more clout than the Young Bucks even ever dreamed of, basically.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you have an awkward Tony Khan trying to go and going against a McMahon for his own company. That would probably draw some WWE eyes on there just out of curiosity, man.
Well, that exactly. And if you do it well, you can win them over. Because guess what, folks? By and large, and I know I'm going to be in the minority because there's so much negativity to AEW. AEW has been better the last 2 months in terms of. Now, granted, they went into it's kind of comparing AEW at their very best, even to WWE in this past WrestleMania season. They literally were going to their WrestleMania. So I have to put that in perspective. But I feel like AEW television, by and large, has been better than WWE television. You had these storylines that they never had before. There was like 6 really good storylines going into this pay-per-view. They never had that before. Then you have a situation where, okay, you have a 1-hour match, 59 minutes and 57 seconds, one of the greatest TV matches in the history of the game. You are building these stars. AEW, I feel like the Harry Doyle thing from Major League, and I've said this before. Well, I don't know if you guys have been noticing, and judging by the attendance you haven't, AEW has been putting on great professional wrestling recently. And I think we need to acknowledge that. There's a lot of negativity there just by the sheer impact of the disaster that happened with the CM Punk and the horrible booking and whatever the hell was going on in 2023, which was overall a disaster. This has been a good company. It's been a fun thing to watch. I've been more interested in AEW than WWE recently. I really have been. And this storyline could be the thing to get more people saying, okay, they're not the indie dorks that we thought they are, which they might be sometimes. But I think they've been great. I think AEW has been as good as it's been in probably 2 years at this point in time. We are High Spots and Cheap Pops. Silicon, Steve Valley, and Vadi Dottie give you the best pro wrestling talk on the internet today. We catch the things the other guys don't. And we also get a little silly sometimes. Pro wrestling commentary, clips, and comedy as we try to grow a fantastic community in positivity. We're anti-dirt sheet, anti-tribalists, and we are here for the enjoyment of the most unique form of entertainment on the planet. So check out High Spots and Cheap Pops. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube and follow us where you catch your favorite podcasts. We're on Spotify and now on Apple Radio, Amazon Music, and everywhere you catch your favorite music and podcast. High Spots and Cheap Pops, the best pro wrestling talk on the internet today. Here endeth the lesson.